Simon K is 100. That's cool. We're good to go.
I don't have the camera on yet, but as soon as she sits, you're live.
Okay.
It is, good evening, everybody. This wonderful town of Moraga. It is October 15th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. I call this meeting of the Moraga Town Council to order. Roll call. Let the record show that all town council members are present, excluding Graham Thiel and Brian Dolan. Pledge of Allegiance. Steve, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? You would be so kind.
Yes, come up to the mic.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Steve, thank you very much for handling that on a rush basis. Normally, I try to pre-warn people. That takes us on to item number 3, which are presentations, and that first item under presentations is the Arbor Day proclamation. I don't think we have any representatives from the Arbor representing the Arbors. What organization represents the Arbor? Anyway. We have a proclamation dated Tuesday, October 15th, and declaring that this day is Arbor Day in Moraga. Carrie, if you would start us off, and we'll go around the...
A proclamation declaring Tuesday, October 15th, 2025 as Arbor Day in Moraga. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and
whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and
whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and
whereas trees reduce erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and
whereas the best time to plant trees in Moraga is in the fall, from roughly October through March, because the cooler temperatures and seasonal rains help trees establish roots before the stress of summer heat and drought, and
whereas this allows newly planted trees to put their energy into root development rather than foliage, resulting in stronger, healthier trees, and
whereas trees are a renewable resource that provide materials for homes and businesses and countless other wood products, and
whereas the town of Moraga is classified as a Tree City USA town, and
whereas trees in the town of Moraga increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify the community, and
whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy, and trees contribute to the high quality of life in the Moraga community, and
whereas the town council of the town of Moraga hosted a tree planting ceremony in the Commons Park on September 27th, 2025, during the Pear and Wine Festival.
now therefore be it resolved that I, Steve Wallachy, Mayor of the town of Moraga, along with my fellow council members, do hereby proclaim October 15th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the town of Moraga and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Thank you. Okay. That's, are there any supplemental comments? Any from the audience? Okay. That moves us on to the second presentation, 3B, which is update to the Moraga and Orinda Fire Safe Program. And we have the honor tonight of receiving this from the program's leader, Mark Evans, and I understand that we also have Steve Hoyt here, who is very much involved in, especially fire-wise, in Moraga.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Mark Evans. I am currently the chairperson for the Moraga Orinda Firewise Network, which is a collection of currently 43, maybe soon to be 44 recognized Firewise neighborhoods here within the fire district. And I don't know if I don't necessarily speak for, but we basically, we help coordinate the community in wildfire prevention. So I'm going to jump right in that, the purpose of Firewise, so maybe I should ask a quick question. You're in a Firewise neighborhood. You're about to be in a Firewise neighborhood. Lisa, are you in a Firewise neighborhood? Yes, no, I'm a country club. Ah, one of the biggest ones. So actually what's, I think, quite interesting is that, we have 43 neighborhoods here in the fire district. Moraga has 2 of the 3 largest, the country club being the largest, and Camp Olinda being number 3, and then there's also a very large one in Sleepy Hollow in North Orinda. The typical neighborhood size is 30, 50, 70, but you have a couple big ones, and they're very well run, kind of models of what we have. So basically, I've kind of show the breakdown here. We just updated it. We're here as a community working together. 43 recognized. We're closing in on 5,000 dwelling units. I know that sounds kind of technical. That's how NFPA calls it. But basically, they're private residences. And one thing to clarify for you is we're organizing the community. So public properties, commercial properties, schools, those are not in a Firewise neighborhood. We're basically working with the community residential property owners, whether they're in an HOA, a condominium. Primarily, we're in single dwelling units, but that's what we do. We organize the community together in groups. And real quick, it's a program that's a national program sponsored by the National Fire Protection Association, countrywide. As you can imagine, California has more than any other state, but Colorado, Oregon, Washington, some of the other western states have a few. There are currently over 1,400 Firewise neighborhoods in the state of California. And I think the number I just checked recently is Contra Costa has about 110. And it's between our 40 and then probably another 30 plus over in Lafayette. So La Morinda has well over 50%, if not more. And it makes sense, right? We're in the higher fire danger area. So I broke it down. We actually have a new neighborhood this year. That's why there's a 0.5. We have a neighborhood that splits between Orinda and Moraga, going down Ream Boulevard, just up the street here. They call it Ream Zander South, and it kind of goes along Ream Zander Ridge. But it's a nice big new neighborhood, a lot of organization. We have a great leader named Patricia Schletta. Her home's in Orinda, but she's organized that whole area. So it's been a big addition. And then there's a small one in Canyon, but also very good. I've left you some links if you want to look at it in the future, but you'll see the neighborhood's map. I'm not going to show it to you now, but you can easily look at it, and it just kind of shows you. It's sort of interesting. In some areas, it's like a pieces of a puzzle. And one of the reasons we developed it is everything from people will come to us and say, am I in a Firewise neighborhood? And I look at them and well, there's a sign on my street. I must be. Well, it's probably not quite that. So, but we have used that to help people understand if they're in one or not, and then able to quickly put them in contact. But as you can guess, we're less than 50%, so there's there's a lot of opportunities to get there as far as Firewise neighborhoods. So here are the ones in Moraga. A couple of them are some of the originals, but as you can see, we've got a couple, we have 2 expanding here in 2025 and several new ones. And what do you think the reason why we've had so many new people, new neighborhoods in 2025? January 7th, Southern California. It's been, we didn't see it coming. So anyway, we're taking advantage of it. But between that and some additional ones in Marinda, we have a lot of people. And then what are we? We're an education outreach. First and foremost, we're supporting the residents, but because we're organized as a network, we can do the outreach to people who are not in Firewise and they're interested. And so we are sort of a collector of people interested from Moraga, Orinda, and we get them from all sources. Moraga events, we were at the Pear and Wine Festival, Pancake Breakfast, the publications you have, the Moraga newsletter, the Orinda. So we've, over the last couple of years now, become sort of if someone's interested in what it is to be in a wildfire community, both MOFD, City of Orinda, Town of Moraga, point them to us, and we're here to help you. Okay? And then the thing I want to make sure you were aware, because this is relatively new, is that we are going to be collaborating with the Fire District and the City of Orinda, and would love to do this as well with the Town of Moraga, to create a quarterly wildfire prevention newsletter. And basically, we're looking to work with you or whoever you want to designate as far as ideas, things that are focus areas for you. Have some general ideas. I probably forgot to introduce my good friend and Firewise, co-Firewise, Steve Hoyt. But, we want to make sure that the residents of Moraga get something out of it too. So this is no cost. It's just more of, hey, do you have some staff time or whoever you want to do? We want you to be engaged. The intent we want to do is we want to brand it, quote unquote. We want to show that it's Town of Moraga, City of Orinda, Moraga Fire District, Moraga Orinda Firewise Network, and of course Fire Safe Moraga Orinda. So that's something we're trying to kick off. It's not going to happen until January. The Fire District has said we will help you with staff time, which is great because a lot of the information we all get on wildfire prevention is sourced from them. And so we're ready to go forward. We're sharing that with you, and as we go forward, we'd like to find out who we might be able to coordinate within the Town of Moraga so you guys are engaged with what we're doing. I'm going to segue to the nonprofit. So back in 23, we started Fire Safe Moraga Orinda, a nonprofit, which is above and beyond education and outreach. And so we're a 501c3 public benefit corporation. We have all the things you have to do to become a nonprofit. And Steve and I are on the board, and we have an executive director, a part-time executive director who's also a Firewise leader in North Orinda. He's a guy with the multiple skills, and I guess we're up and running. I'll tell a little bit more about that as how far along we are. So every nonprofit needs to get some funding. And so we've been going back, starting in early 2024, we started writing grants. I think the fire chief told me, once you get the first one and then do well, you'll get more. Well, that's takes some time. So we did get one in the fall of last year, and we started working on it, and we learned a lot and made some progress. I'll tell you about a little bit. We have a couple more submitted. I'm just sharing what they are. Probably what I want to share, make sure you understand, is we are currently focusing on defensible space. We feel that's the biggest need in the community. The city, the fire district, there's a lot of information out there. People are taking care of the public roads. I know there's opportunities. I understand evacuation is very important here in Moraga. But from a community standpoint, what we can try to do is energize people to take care of their properties, and these programs we've developed encourage them to do so. So basically these are cost share programs, typically 50-50, and that seems to help certain people get over the hump, like, oh, I don't want to do it, I want to do it. But if you do these things, maybe I got to step back real quick. we're not making this up. We're a California Fire Safe Council. We're learning from other fire safe councils. There's another fire safe council in Contra Costa. So we have been copying shamelessly, trying to figure out best practices. We've made contacts with Marin and Napa and Ventura and Santa Barbara and Los Altos, trying to figure out what the best way to do things are. But we're still sort of in the early stages with a grant. So anyway, these are the ones. The one I want to share I think is interesting, is we just put in a small grant to Contra Costa County. Candace Anderson has $1 million to do it, so we went and prepared it online. I went to her town hall, spoke to her directly, and just tried to explain what we're doing and what we're doing. What we found, especially with this one, we didn't get one from the USDA, that point up there, is because we're an affluent community. So when you apply for a federal grant, they have a percentage, a 1/10 score of if you're a low-income community. So right off the top, if we have a competitive grant, there's 100 points are available, we can only get 90. And the examples, we just did one this year, and we scored 84. All the ones that were selected in California, 6 grants, total of $15 million, had a 92 or above. So we can't compete with that. So what we recognize in our community is there are vulnerable residents. These are the older, everything from cognitive, physical, don't know what to do, that sort of thing. So in addition to just neighbors helping neighbors, we're trying to get funding to help them do that. So we'll see if they get through that. We know how to find them because we're in all the Firewise neighborhoods. You can walk around and you can see it. So that's sort of the key, is because we've got grown as far as we have with Firewise, we can go and see them. As well as our close relationship with the fire district, whose fuel mitigation manager can say, hey, there's a guy down on this street. I bet you if you walk the street, you can figure out who it is and just go knock on their door. And that really resonates with me because in my own neighborhood, when I first started going, there was a large neighbor who had a lot of overgrown stuff. I even pulled the fire district there to say, hey, can you look at this with me? And they shook their heads and said, this is in bad shape. So a week later, I went and knocked on the door and I said, do you realize that you're really in high danger on this property? And the answer was, I know, but I don't know what to do. And I said, well, what about I give you some scope of work and get some contractors to come out and give you bids? They said, that'd be great. And I did it. And basically, I worked at that property coming almost like a construction rep every week for 6 weeks. And they took out $60,000 worth of work on a 7-acre property that they hadn't done anything on 50 years. So that showed me right then and there, it wasn't they didn't have the money, they didn't know how to do it. But we have found, and I know now there are more people that don't have the money. So I think that's a real sweet spot for our community, is figuring out how we can find these vulnerable residents and how we can help them, because it's the greater good of the community. And these are the residents who are least able to recover from a wildfire event. Then here's what we did do with the project. We did 3 projects earlier this year, and one of them was in Moraga, far out Moraga, the very end of Moraga, right? Valley Hill area. So the grant we provide is matching funds and a group of residents, a minimum of 5, though in this case, one group, they dropped out the last minute. We decided we just needed to do it. That's how we select them. We do not purposely, we don't like to just do it with individuals. There are incentive programs, but we find that if you work together as a group, you get more done because it's more cost effective, and we're building that community. So there's a couple benefits of doing it this way. And we find people better working together. And it's actually, and then what we do is we say you have to provide a leader to coordinate it, keeping our costs low, so the vast majority of the funding goes to the contractors to actually do the work. So that one group in Valley Hill, they actually ended up contributing more than the $10,000. They were big properties. So we cap it at $10,000, we make sure they understand that, but it's still good. I mean, maybe they wouldn't have done it if they hadn't gotten that 10. So I think there's less of those. There's more of, oh, okay, like I like the one here. Oh, $20,000 max? Okay, we'll spend 10, you spend 10. But ultimately, I think it really is good. Whether you just need that push or, hey, I couldn't do it without it, this is the sort of program that we can do. And so most of the grants we're writing are on what I call neighborhood defensible space, getting people to work together to do it. They save money because the contractor can come in, and as he's finishing up this one property, he moves part of his team to the next property and then the next property, and they're following along with a chipper or whatever it is. It's probably a 30% saving when you get them to work as a group. Where's that savings done? It's passed on to the residents by getting them to work together. And then we've also found that when we do that, the next year, it's not as much work, and they're like, oh, I like that contractor. Let's just call them all up together and split it again, and we just get it done. So you're sort of building this sustainable, hopefully annual improvement until people don't let it get down so far. So I just want to pause. My wife says, man, you talk a lot. But is there any questions you want to interrupt, or not interrupt, any questions I can answer as I get about halfway through, or maybe a lot more?
Go ahead.
Two. One, I was just wondering if you can give folks a relative idea of scale. I know how much a cubic yard of things are because I've done a lot of landscaping, but folks may not know. And 280 sounds like a little bit, but how many pounds would you say that represents?
Well, they don't do it in pounds, they do it in truckloads.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think. It's in I got to coach you through your Firewise application. There's
There you
like
go.
a bag is 2 cubic feet. I think like a full chipper truck is at least 10 cubic yards.
So this is the equivalent of
Truckloads.
truckloads
Yeah.
and truckloads of material. So this is a big job.
And most of these contractors, because they do it all in, like, okay, this is my equipment, my power saws, my rakes, the chipper, and we tell them you can't rebroadcast it because that's just, putting the fuel back on the property. That's our rule. You got to get it out of here. And so they typically come with the whole thing. They got their own chipper truck, and within a week it's all swept up, and everybody's like, "Wow, it looks great." So that's what we try to get them to do.
Great. And the other question that I have is, and maybe you already have this, I just don't know. Do you have like something like an Angie's List for the various contractors or recommended ones? Because I know from my own personal experience, I mean, you can hire some really good ones, but there also could be 10 times more expensive
Yeah.
than others that are licensed and bonded and also very good.
So the first round we did, we let the residents pick because it's their property. This next round, we're going to do a little more coaching. We're going to say, because what we want to make sure is everything's good. So we got to make sure they're insured and have a contractor's license.
Sure.
And then it's going to take a little bit more time, but we're going to coach them to say, you need to competitively bid this. Because what we saw is in a few cases, they just took their favorite guys and, that's fine, I'm getting split half the money. So we're going to tighten up our process this time when we do the next. We think we're going to do 6 in the first quarter next year with the same grant. And so it might take a little bit more time, but it'll stretch our money farther.
Absolutely.
And it gives us more reassurance that we're getting fair bids. And actually, that's the people who give us the money really like that stuff. Oh yeah, we want you to know that, oh yeah, that was fair bid. So a little bit more overhead, but in the long run. And so ultimately, we're going to probably have at least 3, if not 5, kind of qualified people. And so everything from just bid this job, but the other one I've talked to 2 now, and it's like, how about you just give me a day rate? How about you tell me what is an all-in day rate to do this work, and let me compare that, and then potentially we can shorten the time frame. But what I want to tell you today is we're strongly encouraging and will monitor for competitive bids for particularly these groups.
I think that's fantastic.
That's the right way to approach it.
It can make a big difference. For us, we went with the biggest company around, and we got bid about, I think it was $137,000, and we went and found another highly recommended contractor who same work was done for less than 20, and he was licensed, bonded, had a contractor's license, all those things. So
Right. I mean, I had a big tree that was dying. I got bids of $2,500 to $5,100. Who do you think I went with? So it took a little longer, but it wasn't about to fall down. So that's the idea. Okay, and then get 13 grant requests, and we did in January. We have a selection criteria that's documented and we can share, or when we open it up for bids again, we'll share with everybody. I mean, there's everything from preferences, if you got more people, if you have a person who's vulnerable or in need, we prioritize it. But another thing we do is we work with the fire district and we prioritize the areas of this area that are higher priority from a wildfire spread. So a lot of the fire can, there's talk about modeling and this and that, but the fire district can say, oh yeah, I'm looking at these 3 neighborhoods and oh, that one's much worse. And so we give it a priority. Doesn't mean anybody's excluded, but depending upon our money and availability, the more funding we can get, the more we can do for everybody. But when it's limited availability, we're trying to prioritize that. Doesn't mean they can't come back the next year. Okay? And then I'll go to the next one. I'll summarize cost-effective approach. What our problem is, and because we're new, is we didn't realize it was going to take so long to get reimbursed. And not only was that a problem, they because of the upheaval in the federal government, changes and staffing reductions, apparently most of the people who managed the grant were moved on or left or whatever, and so they had to completely reload. So work we did in May has not been reimbursed as of yet. So, but hopefully that'll come to an end. Okay, so just to summarize, MOM, we're created at the encouragement of MOFD, the previous chief, and we're very collaborative with the MOFD. And I think another one, and Steve's one of the leaders, the ambassador program. A lot of our Firewise leaders, Firewise neighbors have ambassador programs. New neighborhoods love to have ambassadors come out. We find that when an ambassador goes out to a neighborhood and they're not a Firewise neighborhood, and say, hey, we get leads from it. So over the last few years, the collaboration and coordination with MOFD has really gone great. I'm going to a meeting in a few minutes, and MOFD has on their agenda that maybe we can fund nonprofits in the future. They've been reluctant, but I guess to me that's a vote of confidence in the Fire Safe Moraga that we've built, and that we're continuing to grow out, that they're considering, and we want to work together. We work very closely with them on outreach. For a fact, the Moraga Pear and Wine Festival was completely staffed by Firewise leaders. But it shared all the information from MOFD, from Contra Costa, whatever it is, the La Miranda CERT, we were representing them. There was a fire truck next to us, and there were firemen there, but there were no staff people sitting at that table. We were doing it all, and we have home hardening displays and stuff like that. So I'm just showing that over time, we've really taken a bit of load off MOFD, and we are well integrated with them.
Mark, before you go, I do have at least a question also, and that is, so Department of Forestry is tasked with coming out with the revised regulations to whatever the degree they are. Zone 0 is sort of hanging over our head, and there's potentially the whole town may be declared to need to meet Zone 0 as well as perhaps Orinda. You guys have got lots of experience now interfacing with residents. Any feel for, if required to meet Zone 0 requirements, how receptive the residents are going to be to robustly, really go after it?
Well, we're a little skewed because they're already in Firewise neighborhoods, so I would say there's at least some amount of majority that would say, yeah, okay, we should do that. But there's still resistance. And you have to know in a Firewise neighborhood, not everybody's as engaged as others. And I also get there's 2 people who mostly live in every house, and one person says yes and one person says no, you're not taking my flowers out. So, so we have to work through it. But I would say, because Firewise, the foundation of Firewise, the education has said that yes, there's support, but we also understand it's going to be a lift. But we're just going to do education outreach. We listen, we talk, we would say, if you ask me, yes, I think Zone 0, no vegetation with very few exceptions is appropriate. But I'm not deciding. Once it gets decided, we'll support the education and outreach to all the community and help people do that or whatever's required.
Right. And, you said up front that there are 5,000 units, home units. Are you talking about just Moraga?
No, 5,000 in, so if I go back, it's like,
5,000 within MOFD jurisdiction.
Okay, but Moraga alone has.
1,500 in Moraga.
Oh, that's that are on board now.
That's what we have today.
Okay,
1,500 in Moraga.
got it. Okay.
And
That's not the total
3,500
number, so
in
that's about 50%.
Orinda. So yeah, there's opportunity, but Moraga's had some great Corliss. It's like a hotbed. It's on fire over there. But we've had a couple different neighborhoods, and it was funny, through our outreach, we got 3 different people who live on Hardy Drive that contact us independently, and we're like the matchmakers. Hey, you should get together with this person. You should get together with that person. So
Any
I
more
think it's going to grow, Steve. Okay.
More questions you have?
I have comments, but a question.
Okay, let's move on to comments. I know that they have to get over to,
Yeah. Thanks
MOFD.
for your time. I really appreciate it. If there's anything else we can do for you.
Real quick, I just want to say, and also to the residents of my neighborhood, I have the paperwork. Mark got it to me. I just have to finish it, and then we can juice that number up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
any comments or questions from the public? Nope. Okay. Oh,
I
town manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I wanted to share some cool and interesting information. I hope this is the right time, but related to fire. So as we were getting ready for tonight, I was talking with Mackenzie Brady, our Parks and Rec director, and she said, you might want to point out that the town of Moraga practices what you're preaching. Okay, and here's some cool facts, right? So every year, through the allocation of Measure X dollars, the sales tax revenue that the county gets, they budget $2.2 million for fire abatement. Okay, so we always like OPM, other people's money, and we have severe, challenging fire abatement needs in Moraga for the assets that we own as a public municipality, including the hill behind us here.
Right.
And we have received citation notices from the fire district. I'm not complaining, but we have to do better. We have to lead by example. So Mackenzie, and we have other staff that do this as well, she went out and got several $100,000 in funds to take care of vegetation abatement throughout the community. Now, for the last year, 2024, out of the $2.2 million countywide budget, Moraga received $675,000, roughly 31% of that. So we got way more than our population would suggest. On top of that, Mackenzie also got another $50,000 in money elsewhere. So we spent nearly $750,000 in the last year on vegetation abatement on town-owned property and throughout the community, different trails and so on. So, council, that number was higher than I anticipated, and I just wanted to point out we're trying to lead by example. And for those that are watching, yes, we know with our buildings, we do have vegetation that's still within 5 feet. We fully plan to get it out of there.
Good.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks.
Leading by example.
Appreciate the good example the town is doing. You can tell driving the streets how a lot of things have been taken care of the last few years, and it's appreciated.
Steve, would you like to come up to the podium?
Yeah, just one other comment on the Measure X funding that you tapped into. For those of you who have seen the Lafayette Reservoir Rim Trail, over the last 2 years, we've done 2 different Measure X projects and cut a 100-foot shaded fuel break all along the border between the reservoir and the Camp Lindo residences. So all along Kyla Mesa, Kyla, Montana, all of that shaded fuel break was Measure X funded. And I have no idea how much it was because they just did it. And we never even see what the bill is. But I'm sure that helped contribute to Scott's number as well.
So that was East Bay Mud who actually executed that then?
No, it's actually executed Measure X. They hire a contractor. They have to get approval from EB Mud, and we had to get approval from the Lafayette residences down Moraga Road because it was their land. So we get approval for them, and it's executed by Contra Costa, and they just hire a contractor, and they come in, they do the work, and we never deal with it. It's a great program.
Super. Thank you. Thank you for your strong support to the town of Moraga, the city of Orinda, and
And the unincorporated areas.
and
And the unincorporated
the
areas.
unincorporated areas.
Right. Okay, I just want to thank you. You know how to get a hold of me if you have any questions. We're really looking forward to collaborating with you and helping you. So if you have ideas or questions or suggestions on things that we can focus on to help you, we got a nonprofit, we got the Firewise, we're the community, and we'd love to have the community help you help them. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Okay. That completes our presentations. We now move on to public communication. This is time reserved for those in the audience who wish to address the town council on items that are not on this agenda. You will have up to 3 minutes to make your comment. Well, I'm going to finish this. The council cannot discuss details or vote on items not on the agenda. If necessary, direction will be given to staff to follow up. There are no members of the public, so I think we can move on. So that moves us on to adoption of the meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. We now move on to item 6, which is the consent agenda. And are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Does anyone propose such? I'm seeing 2 shaking heads, no. And so that then that moves us on to.
Motion
Are
to
there
move
any?
the
Wait a
consent
minute,
agenda?
Tom, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I just need to note there
Oh,
are no members
got it.
of the public, so we aren't going to have public comment. And I am now willing to accept a motion.
Apologies. Motion to move the consent agenda?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It moves unanimously. See if I can keep up with my paper. That moves us on to item number 7, which is announcements and reports on activities. Lisa, would you start us off, please?
I have no report.
Okay, Carrie.
Yes. Last week, I was honored to attend the California League of Cities Conference in Long Beach. At the conference, and I attended with the town manager and the mayor. At the conference, we were able to reconnect with council members and mayors from cities and towns around the state. We also saw the installation of El Cerrito Mayor Pro Tem Gabe Quinto as the president of the League of California Cities. Personally, I was able to complete my mandatory ethics training and attended a myriad of events and seminars, including on the following topics: using development agreements to build community benefit projects, PBX lessons on branding for local jurisdictions. We also met with a potential economic development consultant. We attended our Cal Cities East Bay Division meeting and attended multiple events, including Burke Williams Sorensen. Last, I was able to observe the mayor's State of the Town presentation to the Moraga School Board last night, and also inform the town of the district's potential for a parcel tax to raise money potentially as soon as next year. I requested during the meeting that school board staff coordinate with the town as we may consider something similar in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. My update is going to be a little bit more lengthy, and bear with me. Let's see, I'm going to list just a number of meetings that I've attended, and if I don't expand on it, doesn't mean they were wasted, but they simply nothing reportable. And first thing I got to say is, we also had Sonia last week at the.
Apologies.
Anyway, so let's see, on September 25th, I attended the Recycle Smart Board meeting in Walnut Creek, and thereafter that attended the East Bay Division, Cal Cities East Bay Division meeting in Walnut Creek, and Brian Dolan also attended that meeting on September 25th. On Saturday, September 27th, at the Pear and Wine Festival I participated in dedicating artwork at the West Commons Park. I participated in planting the tree, and all three of us were part of that. I assisted with stakeholder input for the Parks and Rec and Open Space Master Plan Development Project, as a volunteer, as did the Vice Mayor, and helped celebrate public recognition of Tom and Stephanie Smith, who originated the Pear and Wine Festival quite a few years ago. And so they got a poster and a plaque. Okay, so then on October 2nd, I attended the monthly Mayor's Conference in Martinez. And then on the weekend of October 4th was super busy in town. And first of all, on Saturday, October 4th, I participated in the celebration of the John Muir Land Trust Chowda Crossing celebration. So Chowda still belongs to the town, but it's going to be used for parking to access the Painted Rock property, and a crosswalk that was put in that was primarily funded by the Moraga Community Foundation. We have special thanks to Linus Uckel of JMLT, Dave Trotter representing the Moraga Community Foundation, and Supervisor Candace Anderson. It was really a fun time that afternoon. At the same time, unfortunately, the library book sale was going on, and that was also very successful. We give thanks to Sally Whitaker, president of the Friends of Moraga Library, for handling that or organizing that. That was the same weekend, by the way, that there was the Community Service Day, and my wife Peggy and I did work at Ream Elementary School on Sunday, but I've been requested to read, or I received a note, and I want to spend at least a minute or two highlighting some of all the activities and people that happened that weekend with regard to the Community Service Day, which actually happened on 2 days. So they set new records for volunteers, over 950 volunteers, gave products of over 25,000 distributed locally and internationally. It was another outstanding year, community heartfelt giving of the community, supporting our local schools and beautifying our town. Some of the people who were helped that weekend: homeless, sexually abused victims, visually impaired, local veterans, blood donations, supported all local schools, clothing needs, painting, pots, rocks for seniors, holiday cards with donations, shopped local businesses, improved sustainability, supported town parks. Wide range of activities. The leadership team: Andy Bulgari, Katie Bidstrup, Francis Sweeney, Julie Parks, Wendell Baker, Larry Jacobs, Janice Liu, Mike McClure, all very strong Moraga citizens. Project leaders: Palvi Shah, Bravana Kazlat, Justin Seligman, Katie Downs, Vera Hammond, Andrea Solis, St. Mary's College, Elliot Schmidt from Moraga. Key contributors: Mackenzie Brady, Town of Moraga, St. Monica's Catholic Church, Moraga Valley Presbyterian Church, St. Mary's College. And, you know, St. Mary's College did some really outstanding support that included the college athletes. 120 volunteers saved the town at least $20,000 in labor costs for the all-access playground resurfacing project, as well as saving 6 weeks of staff time on improvements. That's per the staff. Sackland School, Moraga Country Club, Scouts, Commons, Hacienda Rancho Laguna Park, Canyon Club Brewery, and John Muir Land Trust. So kudos to all of those folks, and certainly impact to the town. Okay, so then moving on, there was the annual Cal Cities Conference in Long Beach that Vice Mayor already relayed, And I'll come back and talk about that in a minute. On Saturday, the 8th, there was the MOFD pancake breakfast. I went there for one reason, and then I discovered that Rob Pearson of the Parks and Rec Commission was setting up the boards to obtain input for the Parks and Rec and Open Space Master Plan. So I spent the 3 hours that morning with him getting stakeholder input, and it was excellent because guess what? What do you think the demographics were at the pancake breakfast at the young families? And it was a real great opportunity to get input from that demographics. Then on Sunday, this October 12th, the three La Miranda mayors met to help prepare for the East Bay Wildfire Safety Master Plan Working Group that is going to meet this Friday, October 17th, and we developed a list of some potential wants associated with that. We had a meeting this morning with Townsend representatives, town managers, and also town mayors. So there were 7 of us total on the draft La Miranda legislative platform. And next steps are to take that input that was provided this morning, revise it, and then it will be presented to the 2 town councils, probably separately, and then progressed to finalization and implementation. And I noted to everyone that I am doing presenting the state of Moraga to various organizations around Moraga. I've done 2 so far to the Rotary Club, and as noted by the Vice Mayor, to the Moraga School District last night. They've been very well received. I'm going to send out an updated list of scheduled presentations, and then so that anyone who wishes to attend with me is able to do so. I'd like to take just a couple minutes to relate learnings from the conference from 2 presentations. In case you're not aware, there are a lot of concurrent presentations that are given, and you can select which ones you attend. They're generally for an hour and a half or so, and I guess I significantly focused on fire, wildfire, and communications related to that, and so I'm going to just give a few notes from that. One of the learnings from a presentation on fire communications, it's a best practice is to give magnets out to all residents with their zone on it, so they can put it on their refrigerators, and it's there. Also, it was news to me that apparently Lafayette has a AM radio station that at the police station, not yet known or not known how they get the residents to turn on their AM radios, because significant discussion on the reality that during if you got a red flag day, and of course there's heightened risk of a major wildfire on that day, they could do a PSPS, and then you've lost power for the great portion of your population. How do you communicate to them? That's now we have our cell phones, but still there's going to be that component. I attended the Malibu Fire Lessons Learned, and by the way, I think these presentations should be all on the website for the Cal Cities, and you might go through or at least look at the Malibu. There's some really sobering photographs of some of the Palisades fire, for example. Just from Los Angeles, the entire sky is lit up as this thing's burning. Some of the a primary message from that Malibu experience was, you can put forth designs for procedures for when you have an emergency. You can do paper studies, but it really pays dividends to actually go through the process of mobilizing your emergency operations center and doing it periodically. Because when the event happens, and the Palisades fire was an example of that, when it happens, you may not have much time. It can go very, very quickly. And they ended up changing their geographic location of their EOC several times because as the fire progressed. It's critically important to have roles and responsibilities defined. There are going to be the staff, the emergency support personnel, those leaders. They're going to be making key decisions. But electeds like town council members have a role to be out appropriately with the citizens, helping that communication process, letting them know that they are being heard. And so there's that different roles, and it needs to be well understood and practiced. And during the Pacific Palisades fire, prior to it, they had a PSPS, and 4 million residents were without power. So that was a real issue. Just very, very quickly, the last one that I attended that I want to highlight, strengthening local government through trust fundamentals and effective partnerships. And a number of lessons, one of them being, council members are focused on communicating the what, and the staff, they're doing the what, or the how. We do the what, they do the how, and we're more narrative, they're more data-driven. And we have to keep that in mind. We make decisions, we have to take responsibility for them, and we can't use the recommendations of staff as for crutches. A lot of this is just the basic stuff. Read your reports. If you got to develop trust between staff and the town council, because it's critical. If you have to make a change in direction, you need that trust. They advocate that if you have a policy that council members can add items to the agenda, make sure that you need at least two need to do it. I think I've talked long enough on that. And I think that should be it. Thank you for your patience. Anything else on communications from us? Scott, town manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, nothing else to report from tonight's agenda. It was a light one. We're going to go into closed session a little bit. But just a reminder right now, coming up, the Contra Costa County Transportation Authority will be meeting, and an item on there is of great interest to us in terms of the countywide evacuation study, RFP. That should go through the process tonight, and that'll be out on the street, hopefully. And that will help us with the countywide effort, including doing the study for the La Miranda area.
Quick follow-up on that. Has it been disclosed to us how long it will take once RFP is in the field, the contractor is allowed to proceed, to us ultimately all being able to get an end product? Do we have an expectation of time?
I don't know if Sean or Nate are here. That's all in there. I don't know off the top of my head. It's be several months. Could be a year-long effort altogether. But the main thing is hopefully the CCTA will actually take action tonight. So as far as we know, from the 3 La Miranda cities, the staff, we're all on board. Your police chief, who's around here tonight, he's played an instrumental role. Both our police chief, our public works director, have been instrumental in this for a few years now. They were on the countywide group that put this together. So fingers crossed. I have my phone here if there's any issues. Otherwise, your town manager would be there. Nate Levine, our acting public works director, he's there. He's waving the town flag if need be. So that's going on. We have a few items coming up. You mentioned emergency services, EOC and all that. We were supposed to have a drill this week. We're postponing that due to scheduling, but we practice what we preach here, so we're going to be doing that. Bless you. Next council meeting will be on November 12th, right? Yeah, November 12th, and we have a few items that we're working on, including updating our purchasing policy, finally dealing with the council or the commission committee vacancy and recruitment policy. You asked us to take a look at that. We're coming back with that, and a few other items. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, public hearings, I see none. Likewise, item 9, department reports. Are there requests for future agenda items by council members? Nope. Okay. Informational items. Do we have any informational items? I see nothing. No heads popping yes. And any further follow-up, Scott, before I adjourn? Okay. So as was already noted, November 12th is the next meeting. Yeah. And right, the normally scheduled meeting for October 22nd has been canceled due to lack of agenda items, just in case anyone in the audience is listening. And thank you. This concludes our October 15th Town Council member meeting. And
Well,
done.
no, we're going to adjourn to closed session, and then after closed session, we will adjourn the whole meeting.
okay, thank you. We're adjourning.